Well, good morning, Brett. I think it makes a lot of difference to the worse, of course. There is a reason, Brett, why the United Kingdom did not recognize a Palestinian state for the last 75 years. So what has happened now, especially after the massacre of the 7th of October by Palestinians, by Hamas? So this is a wrong, presumptuous, and really indefensible decision, which is wrong on many facets. First of all, diplomatically, it's an affront to diplomacy because, according to international law, a recognition of an entity as a state has to have before that a finite borders. There are no finite borders there. There should be a specific territory. There should be one authority in that territory. None of this exists. So there was a reason why there was no recognition until now. So to do it as a matter of punishment of Israel, to recognize another thing, this is on a wrong basis, and it will not last.
Let's just break down a few of the things you said there. Diplomatically, you said it was an issue. How diplomatically is the Israeli government even listening to anything the UK government says? There were stipulations that Keir Starmer put forward ahead of recognising a Palestinian state. Reasonable requests like getting around the table and discussing a ceasefire, they just haven't happened. So the lack of diplomacy really is more on the Israeli side, isn't it?
Well, I'm not sure. Again, I think it's quite presumptuous to put some stipulations on Israel from a place like London, which is thousands of miles away. What do you know about this issue here, or the Prime Minister of Britain? I'm not sure.
I think Danny Ayalon, the US is even further away and is your biggest backer, is Israel's biggest backer. So that really is not a point to make, is it?
Oh, it is a point, because the United States has been an indispensable country, as many say, because they are very much involved here in economically, militarily, strategically. England is no way to be around here, and they left the colonial era 75 or 80 years ago. So it's a different place. UK is no longer the superpower that the United States is right now. But this is beside the point. There are agreements that a Palestinian state will come out only as a result of peaceful negotiations, consensus on all sides. So just to dictate now something on the sides will not further peace. Actually, it will be against peace, because first, the Palestinians will have no incentive to negotiate and have concessions. And certainly, when you push Israel into the corner, Israel will not be able to make any concessions. So this is the wrong decision. It's a bad decision, which will not help anything. And again, I think it's quite presumptuous.
You mentioned the 7th of October. We're approaching that anniversary where almost 1,200 people died at the hands of Hamas and hundreds of others were taken hostage. Since then, at least 65,000 Palestinians have died in Gaza, if not many more, including many children who, by definition, are innocents in all of this. And most recently, a UN Commission described Israel's actions in Gaza as genocide. How can any of this be justified? And isn't that why the UK government and the Canadian government and the French government and the Portuguese government are recognising a state of Palestine, not to punish Israel, but to try and seek a solution to all of this?
Well, singling out Israel is on the verge of almost anti-Semitism. I don't recall the UK doing much in recognition of the Kurds when they suffered the massacre, or people in Darfur, the Druze in Syria. It's a diplomatic, it's a complex world. So you have to take a different approach. Now, when it comes to what is happening in Gaza, deplorable, but who is responsible for that? It's Hamas. If there is an existential threat to the Palestinians, it's the Hamas and the other terror organizations.
Danny Ayalon, do you think IDF action in Gaza City is going to eradicate an ideology, which is really what Hamas is all about?
Well, I can go back to the Nazism, which was also a very strong ideology. But ideology coupled with a territory, this is a threat. If you deny a territory from an ideology, then it becomes more esoteric and less of a threat.
Where, if there is no Palestinian state in your eyes, should Palestinian people live?
Oh, I'm not saying that there shouldn't be a Palestinian state. I don't represent the Israeli government. I would say that probably most Israelis would go for a Palestinian state if indeed they recognize our right to live in peace and security
So the West Bank and Gaza should remain as Palestinian territory, because we're also hearing from the Israeli government that they will continue to potentially annex the West Bank to start to encourage more Israeli settlement there, which of course is where a lot of Palestinians already live.
Well, I would say the conditions to have a Palestinian state would be, first and foremost, that they renounce altogether terrorism, they fight effectively terrorism, they stop the incitement, they stop their curriculum, which does not recognize Israel and doesn't have Israel on the map, and certainly should be peaceful with all the countries around it. A Palestinian state, for instance, if it's not built on the right basis, can bring Iran, Al-Qaeda, and other really very dangerous elements into a region. It's not just a threat to us, but to Jordan, to other countries in the region. The situation in Gaza, as you mentioned, is deplorable. Hamas is responsible for that. And about any reports, I think it's very premature, and I don't think anybody can really judge what's happening in Gaza, certainly when they have not visited Gaza, and all they rely on are Palestinian.
Well, I've got to just finish off, Danny Ayalon. There are Palestinian journalists in Gaza who can't leave, and there are no independent journalists in Gaza from outside because the Israeli government stops them from going in. So how can anybody visit to see what's going on?
First of all, again, as an individual, I would recommend having the press in. I don't think that we have anything to hide. Yes, there are casualties, of course, but this is a result of a war. You know, British troops in Iraq or in Afghanistan, they killed many civilians. The ratio was 10-1, 10 civilians to 1 Al-Qaeda or ISIS terrorist. This is I would say, the scourge of war. And this in Gaza is no different than others. We are defending ourselves, and we are really fighting for our lives. And certainly we do not want to see a 7th of October again.